Have you ever felt like your D&D character's story, right from the start, could use a bit more surprise? Something that makes even you wonder, wait, how did that happen?
Oh, definitely. It's funny, just the other week in our game, one player ended up with this really unexpected background bit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, a super stoic, battle-hardened paladin who, it turns out, had this crippling fear of geese. Totally random, wasn't the player's idea, just something I threw in using a similar kind of table.
Geese. Seriously.
Seriously. And it was brilliant. Suddenly, like, crossing a simple farmyard became this high-stakes encounter. It added this amazing vulnerability and led to some properly hilarious moments, but also some really touching ones, changed how the whole party saw them.
That's exactly the kind of thing we're talking about
Oh,
today.
right.
We found this really cool idea over at LitRPG Reads in an article by Isaac Hansen. It's about using random social status roles to, well, inject that exact kind of unpredictability right into your character's background.
Right. So instead of, picking the background that perfectly fits your class or planning every single detail, this throws a bit of chaos into the mix. You let the dice decide where your character comes from, socially speaking.
So that's our mission for this deep dive.
Yeah.
Let's unpack this idea. How does it work?
Yeah.
Why is adding randomness actually engaging? And how can it lead to richer stories in D&D?
Okay, so where do we start? The appeal of randomness itself.
Yeah, let's start there. What does that chance element really do for the story?
Well, I think what's really powerful is how it helps you break out of your own creative ruts. We all have our go-to character types, right? The tropes we lean on.
Guilty.
Exactly. So rolling for something like social status forces you to connect dots you wouldn't normally connect. The article uses this great analogy, like a master chef throwing an unexpected ingredient into the pot.
Right, you might end up with something surprisingly delicious.
Yeah.
Or at least interesting.
Precisely. The article mentions things like a noble-born bard who's completely tone-deaf,
Right.
or a druid who grew up smack bang in the middle of a huge city.
Yeah, those juxtapositions immediately grab you, don't they? A city druid, what's their connection to nature? How did that happen? Just sparks questions.
And that surprise element keeps things fresh long-term. If the character's past isn't entirely predictable, it opens doors for, unexpected plot twists later on, keeps everyone, players and DM, guessing a bit. It's like planting a mystery seed early on.
Okay, so let's talk about social status itself in D&D. It's more than just starting gold, isn't it? It shapes their whole perspective.
Oh, absolutely. It's foundational. It influences how they interact with people, what they assume about the world, the opportunities they get, the challenges they face, even their goals. Someone raised rich versus someone who had nothing. Totally different outlook.
The article lays out this whole spectrum,
Right.
from like pauper all the way up to the highest nobility. That's a huge range of possible beginnings.
It really is. And rolling for it early, that's the key insight, I think. It makes you ask questions right away. What are their ingrained beliefs? What do they even consider normal? What are they aiming for, given where they started? It's about their worldview, not just a title.
Right. So practically speaking, how does this work? How do you actually roll for it?
Pretty simple, actually. The article suggests using a D100, percentile dice and a chart. Roll the dice, check the chart, boom, you've got your character's social standing.
Okay, and the article gives categories. Let's walk through some of those. Starting low, 1 to 10, you get pauper. What does that look like?
Pauper means, well, poverty. Probably grew up with nothing, very few connections, no formal education likely, but that could make them incredibly resourceful, maybe deeply empathetic, or conversely, fiercely ambitious to escape that life. Lots of built-in struggle.
Makes sense. Then 11 to 25 is commoner.
Yeah, the sort of backbone of society. Hardworking folks, maybe farmers, village artisans, town guards, they value community, honest work. Maybe they dream of a bit more comfort or, adventure calls them away from the everyday grind. Grounded motivations, usually.
Okay. Moving up, 26 to 40 is merchant. That one feels pretty distinct.
Oh, yeah. Merchants understand value, negotiation, probably grew up around trade, might have a more, let's say, pragmatic view of morality, maybe driven by profit, expansion, or just plain financial security, good skills for an adventurer, potentially.
Definitely. Then 41 to 60, the artisan. What's their deal?
Artisans are all about their craft. Skilled workers, blacksmiths, weavers, potters, whatever. They take pride in what they make, appreciate beauty and function. Their perspective might be shaped by, like, the process of creation, tradition, maybe seeking recognition for their skill.
Okay, getting higher now. 61 to 75 is gentry. Like minor nobles.
Sort of. Lesser noble families, Maybe landed, but without major titles. They have some privilege, some social standing, but not the huge pressure of the great houses. Maybe some informal education, maybe a bit more open-minded or restless. Could be why they go adventuring.
Right, escaping expectations, maybe.
Yeah.
Then 76 to 90, you're properly noble.
Now you're talking prestigious family, lineage, expectations, lots of pressure here. Uphold the family name, navigate politics, maybe manage lands, or maybe they hate all that. Could be a source of major internal conflict, wanting to break free.
And the top tier, 91 to 100, aristocrat, peak privilege.
Pretty much. Wealth, power, influence. They might be totally clueless about common life, or maybe they feel a sense of duty, noblesse oblige, philanthropy perhaps, or just caught up in high-level intrigue and managing vast resources. Very different world.
The article also mentions these creative social status categories, which sound really cool, more specific flavors.
Yeah, these are great. Like, noble nobody, got the title, but no land, no cash, living on wits and faded glory. Or the genteel beggar, born rich, lost it all, but still has the fancy manners while struggling to survive.
Wow, those are fantastic. Instant character concepts right there. A noble, nobody trying to claw back status, a genteel beggar navigating a world they used to own. So much drama.
Exactly. Or think about a merchant prince whose wealth rivals nobles, or a sage in seclusion, maybe highborn but ditched society for knowledge. There's also stuff like a humble hero, famous locally but unknown elsewhere, or a sky captain, respected on airships but lost at a royal ball. Each one just screams story potential.
Okay, so you roll your status. Let's say you got, I don't know, merchant, but you wanted to play barbarian. How do you make that work? What's the next step?
The trick is to just lean into it. Don't fight the role, embrace it. Ask how that status shaped them. Like a merchant barbarian. Maybe they come from a family of caravan guards who protected merchant trains, or maybe they ran the family business with an iron fist before getting exiled.
Ah, so you find a connection. The status becomes part of their history, maybe even the reason for their class or motivations.
Exactly. How does that status fuel their ambition? A pauper might crave security above all else. A disgraced noble wants redemption. What rivalries does it create? What loyalties? That street performer example from the article, dreaming of playing for the king, that goal comes directly from their low status.
Right. Okay, how does this stuff play out in the actual campaign? For the DM and the players, how does it ripple outwards?
Well, it hugely affects NPC reactions, right? A noble might get doors opened, or maybe attract suspicion and jealousy. A commoner might blend in easily. A pauper could be ignored or exploited. It influences access to information, resources, social circles. A merchant knows traders. A noble knows courtiers.
And the article had those bold campaign ideas built around status. Can you remind me of a couple?
Yeah, they were cool. The Lost Heir was one. A PC discovers they're secretly royalty, and the campaign is about reclaiming their birthright. Instant epic quest potential.
Okay, yeah, I remember that one.
And then there was the class uprising. Players from lower statuses get caught up in a rebellion against the elites. Forces them to confront big questions about justice, loyalty, society.
Those sound like they put the character's origins right at the center of the plot.
Yeah.
It makes the background really matter.
Totally. It's not just flavor text anymore. It's baked into the campaign's core conflicts and opportunities. Makes players feel their choices right from the start have weight.
Let's not forget the funny side, though. Random rolls can lead to some hilarious results, right?
Oh, absolutely. The potential for comedy is huge. Imagine that aristocrat I mentioned who has zero social graces, constant foot-and-mouth moments at fancy parties, or a merchant terrified of handling actual coins.
The article had some gems, too, like the title holder without land, desperately trying to keep up appearances, or the befuddled bureaucrat causing chaos. My favorite was the mystical mooch, powerful wizard still living with their parents.
Huh. Yes. And there was that D20 table of extra humorous twists. You could roll like a fearsome warrior who secretly collects tiny spoons, or a noble bard who can only sing opera in Orcish.
A grim mercenary with a secret passion for competitive flower arranging. Love it. That kind of unexpected absurdity adds so much.
And it's not just cheap laughs, That kind of humor builds camaraderie at the table. Sharing laughs over weird character quirks makes the whole experience more fun, more memorable.
So wrapping this up, what's the main takeaway here? Why should people maybe give this random status roll thing a try?
I think the core message is that letting chance play a role in your character's social background is a really effective and honestly really fun way to add depth, surprise, and humor to your D&D game. It just opens up unexpected creative avenues.
It feels like it pushes you to be creative in a different way. Not just building from scratch, but reacting, responding to a surprise and seeing where it leads.
Exactly that. You end up with characters and stories that feel genuinely unique, less predictable, adds a real spark to the game.
So definitely something to consider for your next character or campaign. Give it a whirl, see what happens.
And yeah, big thanks again to LitRPG Reads and Paul Bello, fine fellow, for the article that sparked this whole conversation. Really insightful stuff.
Absolutely. And hey, everyone listening, what do you think? Ever used random tables for backgrounds? Got any amazing or hilarious unexpected character stories? Let us know in the comments. We'd love to hear them.
And maybe just a final thought to leave you with. If adding a bit of randomness works so well for our fictional characters, maybe, just maybe, embracing a little unpredictability elsewhere in life could lead to some interesting results too. Something to think about.